It is over, and I am alive. It is over, and I'm still breathing. I can hear people fussing around me, muttering soft and soothing words, tears in their own eyes, but oh, so careful not to touch me. One of them tried. I think I bit him. Hey, honey, you okay? Hey. Ow, ow, ow! God damn! I didn't mean to. I just can't bear to be touched. Someone also tried to take the bundle I clutched from me. They know better now. The floor around us is sticky with drying blood, and my hands are dyed with gore. Again and again, the people around me are asking the same question. What happened here? I haven't been able to answer yet. I don't know if I'll ever utter another sound. But they gave me an iPad, hoping I would start typing. When I'm done, I'll give them this. But you, those of you who have been with me since the beginning, you deserve to hear how my story ends first. After I left Mary's charnel house, sickened to my core by the horrors I had found, I knew I had to let her come to me. If I hid myself away long enough, she would wear herself out looking for me, and I would have an advantage. So I staggered and stumbled further along the halls, turning left or right whenever I felt like it. I found a large cleaning closet, empty of cleaning products or equipment. I wedged myself in, every inch of my wobbling frame crammed into the small space. Even after all I have suffered, despite the twisted way in which Mary and the twins kept their promise, I am still elephantine. I sat in the dark for what felt like hours. In the inky blackness, I calmed my breathing and let my fury focus my mind. All I would need was a moment, a single second in which I had the upper hand, and Mary would die. It didn't matter that I had wandered for ages to find my hiding spot. When Mary saw what was left of the Tweedle twins, I still heard the howl of her distress. Every muscle in me clenched with terror. The rage I had been cultivating had not entirely burned it away. I swallowed the bile rising in my throat and forced the shake from my hands. Mary would be hunting me now. I could not be a coward anymore. For a few minutes, there was silence again. In my mind, I could see Mary weeping over the bodies of Dee and Dum. I could hear the sweetly rotten keen of her misery. Then I heard the slam of a door, thrown back on its hinges with violence. Mary was coming. Minute after minute, I heard her shrieks of rage, cursing and threatening me as she searched the rooms I had passed on my way to my hidey hole. I knew the precise moment she realized I had found her crypt and knew her vile secret. The sound she made was like nothing human, nothing animal I had ever heard, and should have torn her throat apart. To her, that hellhole must have been as sacred as the Vatican to Catholics, and I had violated it with my presence.
Oh my God, you're so
The whole idea of this forced me to stifle a laugh. Mary violated? Mary, the injured party? I don't fucking think so. Closer and closer she came, her screams becoming hushed as her energy was sapped by her pregnancy. I had forgotten about her baby in my rage. What the fuck was I going to do about her baby? I would save Ariel, even if it killed me. But what about this new life growing? Mary had to die. That was never in question. But this new life wasn't innocent. not to blame for the actions of its awful parents. My mind began to race as Mary moved ever closer. It took less time than I had hoped for her to find my cleaning closet. I heard her shuffling down the hall towards me and knew it was now or never. Holding my knife and my crowbar thing carefully, I braced my hands against the door and sent a silent prayer to whoever might be listening. I heard the handle squeak as she started to open the door, and as a chink of light cut through the darkness, I shoved forward as hard as I could. Mary screeched as the door hit her in the face, and blood spurted from her nose. I burst from the tight confines of the room like a cork from a bottle with a wordless cry. Through the blood, she saw what was in my hands, and for a fraction of a second, she flinched. It was all I needed to bring the steel bar in my right hand up to connect with her chin. Her head snapped back, and I heard the crack of bone breaking. Her incoherent cry was shrill, but it cut off when the bar caught the side of her head on the downswing. She hit the ground like a sack of potatoes, and the only hint of life was the wet, ragged sound of her breathing. Now, the laughter I had earlier fought to subdue came bubbling up. Peel after peel spilled from my mouth, tinged with hysteria. I had knocked the bitch out, and now I was in charge. 3 thoughts coalesced into one shining idea in my mind's eye. How I could save the baby inside Mary, how I could punish her for everything she had done, and how I might be able to escape from this place. I dropped the tools from my hands and, slipping them under her withered shoulders, began to pull her back towards the tiled, circular room. As light as she was, even with the baby inside her, it took some time for me to drag Mary's unconscious shell back to the room. I was drenched in sweat by the time we made it, and she had started to shift about. I propped her outside by the door. I wasn't going to do anything in front of Ariel, whether she could see it or not. I spent precious moments looking at her in her watery little world, then shook myself back to sensibility. I had things to do. I found some tubing on one of the workbenches left over, I assumed, from the creation of Ariel's tank, and my chair. It was just long enough for what I needed. I bound Mary's limbs tightly, her wasted hands behind her, and tore off some of her dress to gag her with. When I returned to her for the second time, she had regained her senses, and her sunken, beady eyes glittered malevolently at me. When she saw what I had in my hands, though, she blanched, her already foul skin now looking like rancid, sour milk. The greenish tinge shone through the scarlet staining her face, and she knew what I was going to do. She didn't make a sound when the scalpel-like blade was inserted into her stomach. She didn't flinch when I pushed it deeper, slicing my way through her sparse frame towards the baby inside. Her eyes never left mine, even as their simmering resentment dimmed. I wasn't gentle. I didn't give a shit if this was hurting her. Not after everything she had done. Forcing myself to go on, to do what I had to do, I told myself that this was fair, this was just, and that I was going to save the innocent from her evil. Before I knew it, it was over. Mary, soaked in blood and split like a pomegranate, was still looking at me with hatred, but it was a dull, flameless gaze, no longer kept hot by her cruel mind. Mary was dead. I had found what I was looking for, and my heart was aching. I crawled into the circular room, one arm holding my prize to my chest, while the other pulled me along. I thought about getting into my chair to make myself and the bundle I had wrapped in pieces of Mary's dress comfortable, but I knew that I couldn't manage that. All the strength that rage and fury had lent me was gone, and my whole body shook with exhaustion and anguish. I made my way to Ariel's tank, looking once more at the little life inside whom I had claimed for myself. Back to the tank, bundle quiet in my arms, with Ariel floating silently above me. I closed my eyes. When I opened them, it was to noise. Pounding, staggering noise.
All right?
All around me were the sounds of gagging,
What happened
disbelief, and visceral anger.
God.
A face was above mine,
shit.
trying to coax a response from me.
Fuck.
The arms that belonged to that face then reached for the bundle in my arms. I don't know how or why I moved so fast, but that face left the room with a handprint plastered across its cheek.
Ow! Damn! Jesus.
I can't tell you why it would have mattered if anyone took the bundle. Nothing in it was alive. When I cut the baby from Mary's womb, it had been dead for some time. Mary's skin had had a greenish tinge, and so had the Tweedle twins. But this was not a tinge. This green was not sickly or weak. This green was putrid. Tiny and pathetic, this little being had succumbed to the weaknesses of its parents long before I pulled it forth. So why did it matter if someone else took it away? I don't know. I still don't know. But until I know, it's staying with me. I've named the little one Flora. While I've been writing this, I've been listening to the conversations going on around me. Most of them are just meaningless recountings of how horrific they find this place and what has gone on here. None of them have a clue. But some have given me information. I know now that these people are the police and that they've been looking for me for a while. I think Jerry must have called them, however long ago it was that I didn't return to work. I should have listened to Jerry in the first place. Someone's been asking me questions while I've been typing this. Maybe I feel a little better, because I've been nodding or shaking my head. I nodded when they asked me if I was Miss Holman, but shook my head when they asked if I knew how long I'd been here. I shook my head when asked if I knew who the two dead men and the dead woman were, or if I knew what had made them do all of this. I nodded when they asked if the baby inside the tank is mine. I know it was a lie, but I don't care. Ariel is mine, and no one is taking her from me. I overheard someone say that we both needed medical attention, but that the nearest post-neonatal ward would probably let me stay with Ariel due to the circumstances. This is good. I don't want to be apart from her. I have been wondering how they are going to get her out of the tank, but apparently someone is on their way to help with that. I know I told a lie. I know it was wrong, but I can't let them take Ariel. I'm giving you this post, No Sleep, because you've been with me through this, even if I don't know any of you. But once it's submitted, I'll delete it from the documents on the iPad I'm using and rewrite the story a little. No one will ever know. No one but us. Maybe one day I'll be strong enough to tell Ariel the truth. Maybe one day I'll be brave enough to admit my lie. But not now. The person who is going to get Ariel out is here. I want to help, to hold her. I've given Flora to someone with a kind face. They will make sure she is looked after properly. No one will put her with her brothers and sisters in that awful room. Ariel and I will be going to the hospital together, and I'll be out of this place soon. I'm taking one last look at Ariel in her watery world before she leaves it. My hand is on the glass, over the gory handprint I left as a promise to her earlier. I came back, and we are leaving. I'm shaking, but there's one more thing I have to say to her before she's in my world. Hey, baby, you made me a better me.